Hi guys. All right, we wanted to make you stop and make you laugh. Right? It's like we are not doing this. I'm like, we
the
are.
funniest thing in the world. She's a little delirious.
I'm pretty sure we could take it off. I hope we could take it off. Oh no. Can we take it off?
Oh boy. We're not doing the whole thing like this.
Hi guys. All right, we're trying to take off this mask because if we can't, we're gonna have to come back. I thought it was funny. Hi, Trisha.
That's great. You can't do this the entire time.
We could.
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna try to take
It's
this
like
off.
a reflection off of this thing.
Somebody tell me how it works. So, all right, anyway, seriously, could someone tell me how to take it off? How do I take it off? Oh boy, there's gotta be a way.
Mystery mask?
Oh, I think there.
Mask?
No.
No.
Just kidding.
We good?
It
Move.
just said we're gonna lip sync. All right, you guys. Hello.
Good.
What's up? All right.
Fantastic.
Might be a little delirious today. I'm having like a massive dizzy spell, and I'm not really sure why. So give us a hello. Tell us how you are.
How's your quarantine session doing?
We've lost count of what day it is. I think it's day
It's
8.
Yeah.
We were talking today about the days just feel like there are no days. I'm like, maybe this is what retirement feels like. Even though we're obviously still working, like the days don't have any differentiation. There's no soccer practice or soccer games or this has to happen or that has to happen. So it's like, what day is it? Oh, it's only Tuesday. My client and I were talking about that last night. She was like, I feel like it's Friday and it's only Monday. So, anyway, you guys, tonight we're going to talk about, we're better start that clock. So, we're on before 8 o'clock, which is fantastic. We want to talk to you guys about language. So, it's interesting watching Facebook and just kind of getting an idea of where people are at, right? And I want to preface this with, like, the next 30, 45 days in shutdown, quarantine, whatever, you're going to have highs and lows, and that's totally okay, right? And, like, you're going to have days where you're like, okay, this is okay, and days where you're like, I need to pull out my safe word. Our safe word is banana pancakes. When we say banana pancakes, it means we need to go for a run or something. Like, no questions asked. We just need a break, right? So, like, you're going to have those days. And I've seen a lot of people that were like, oh, today I actually felt really good. And then a lot of people are like, today was not okay. It did not go well. I'm not doing okay. So I just want a reminder that, like, it's okay to feel all of the things, right? Like, you don't have to put on this perfect face and be like, it's all, sunshine and roses, right? Because it doesn't feel like that all the time. But let yourself feel the deeper emotions. Let yourself feel the good days. Like, just let yourself be in the experience. But today we kind of want to talk about what your language does and how it affects your experience. Not only the language that you're using on yourself, but the language around the people that you're interacting with, the language of the stuff that you're letting into you, the language of your Facebook feed, right? So we really want to talk about language, how it affects you, and what we can do to shift it so that it's more in alignment with how we want to feel, how we want to show up, and who we want to be at the end of this shutdown.
So a lot of that, you guys, is yet again, the whole thing starts with awareness, right? And and I think a lot of it is coming from a place of, just like Courtney said, is language has an amazing ability to direct us and allow us to experience the full spectrum of emotion, of human emotion, right? And so so I think it's upwards of, there's over 300,000 words in the English language. But I think for most of us, I think it's anywhere between like 1 to 10% is what we actually use. And for most of us, it's kind of like our thoughts, right? Like we habitually have the same thoughts, the same questions, and the same verbiage that we tend to use on a daily basis. And depending on the language that we use on a day-to-day basis is also going to direct our experience that we're having around certain things, right? So if I'm constantly in the habit of using words that are essentially disempowering, that's also going to direct my focus. It's going to direct my experience. It's going to direct probably what I'm seeing on a day-to-day basis as far as that going. So especially in this time that we're in, you guys, yet again, I know I can hop on. I've filtered through a lot of my own Facebook feed trying to get as much positivity as I can on my own spectrum that I see every single day. But right now, it's really easy to get into the sense of like, man, this sucks. The world's caving in. Like, how dare they do this? That person's an idiot, right? Like all these different things that we can go on to. And then once we interpret once we read or hear or whatever that lets into our subconscious, that's going to elicit the experience that we have. So oftentimes a lot of this, you guys, is coming from a place, yet again, take a step back of when you're saying certain things, even whether it's verbalizing it or even saying it inside your head. What is that? What are you saying to yourself, right? Like, what is it? What are you saying? And what is the visceral reaction that is coming over you when you are saying those things? Because yet again, if you can being awareness around like not only the words that you say, but also the feeling that you have emotionally attached to that, I would imagine that the person or that's around you, whether you're dictating or directing that language towards somebody else in particular, other people around you are also going to feel that same thing, right? Like you're basically just projecting energy to other people with our own language and our own
Brandon should turn his phone off before
our
own
verbalization of what we're doing. Not to mention, when I'm saying certain things, you guys, have you ever been wrong about something? Right? Like, here's a loaded question for you. Have you ever been wrong about something where you misinterpret something, right? Like, perhaps when you speak, you could be wrong about the experience that you're having. And when you actually say those words, you're actually causing yourself to probably not be in the best sense of what you could be, just based off of maybe just misinterpreting the scenario of what's going on.
So like Brandon said, it starts with awareness, right? So start paying attention to and I think outward language is really important, but I think right now a lot of us are tending to turn inward, and we may be working from home and we by ourselves, and that might be bringing up different anxious feelings and stuff like that. So think about like, what's the language that's going on in your head, right? Like, are you in a state of worry? Are you in a state of anxiety? And are you feeding into that, right? Because like one word, one thought goes with a feeling, and then it'll spiral, right? And so bringing awareness, like just take tomorrow and pay attention to like, what is your language? What are the thoughts that are going on in your head? And then like, are they empowering? Are they something that's taking you closer to where you want to be, or are they disempowering? Are they taking you farther from where you want to be? I mean, we talk about this with our athletes all the time. Like, what's your language inside the workout, right? And I know for me, it's like, as soon as I say, wow, this is hard out loud, I don't really usually say it out loud, but internally, if I think to myself, this is hard, I can't breathe, there's no way I can do this for 5 more minutes, etc., like all of a sudden that workout gets massively harder, because you just like accepted that, and your body's like, oh no, you think this is hard, okay, I better think that maybe it isn't okay to breathe this hard, maybe it's, and so like it's a cool way inside of a workout to notice that. But like, if you're gonna get on a call with your boss, with your whoever, right, and notice the language to your kids, but like think about the internal language first and the feeling it causes, because whatever feeling it causes is what you're going to portray outward, right? And we talk all the time about energy. So if you can get awareness over the next few days of the internal language, you can start to go, okay, that's not serving me. How do I shift that? That's not serving me. How do I shift that? That's not serving me. How do I shift that? That is serving me. How do I get more of that? How do I lean more into that? Like, how do I take action steps other than being like, well, great, my language sucks. That makes me even a worse person, right? And so it's bringing awareness without judgment over everything. This is all we always teach, but like, how can you bring awareness around that language and then understand how it affects you? And then also when you start talking to people outwardly, how does it affect them?
Well, it's coming from a place of curiosity. And so with this, you guys, it's understanding that we can't just like, well, stop saying that, right? Like, stop saying that, right? Like, you notice it, but just cut it out of your whole vocabulary, right? Like, yet again, the words that we use are probably there because of whether it be our conditioning from way long ago, when the way we were brought up, or what we surround ourselves every single day, what we read, what we listen to, our groups of friends, all these things that are going to influence the language that we use. But at the same time, using what we call transformational vocabulary, this can change that out. So instead of just like, well, stop using that, instead, if we can replace it with something else that gives it a similar description, but negates kind of the feeling around that, right? Like, yet again, I mean, I would like, I could watch my feed all day long. Like, I'm just so angry at all these people that are still going out and in groups of going to parks and doing all these things. God, I'm so furious, right? And it's like, well, okay, when I say furious, all of a sudden, like viscerally, my emotional feeling on that is my blood starts to pump. All of a sudden, my adrenaline kicks up. All of a sudden, I'm ready for kind of like a fight, right? Where instead of like, you know what, that really annoys me, right? Like I'm just really, that upsets me a little bit. That more annoys me. But when I say annoyed as opposed to furious, my visceral reaction are two completely different responses to that.
I'm going to tell you something really quick. Erica will answer your question in a second. But so it's so funny. When I was little, I couldn't say furious and I used to say furious. So actually the word furious has no visceral response for me. So this is where we get to understand that feeling. Like the word furious actually makes me laugh because I think about myself as a kid going, I'm furious. And like, I can't remember it, but I can imagine myself as a little kid. So really that does, like the language really does affect you. Like it actually makes me smile when you say furious because I just can't imagine actually being furious. But anyway. Continue. Well,
I mean, kind of to go to that point, right? Like I know for myself, it was literally finding a word that was almost so ridiculous that made me laugh, right? Like, what's Twitter, Peyton?
Angry,
yeah. So if I was going to elicit, like, if my normal word was like, I'm angry, I'm upset, I'm furious, instead, like for myself, was making myself of like, I'm feeling so Twitter-pated, right? Like saying that right there, like the description of that is kind of the same, but the fact that the word is so ridiculous to say, especially in like a furious kind of angry state, like you have me so damn Twitter-pated right now. I just want to like, right? Like you're not going to follow through with like whatever emotional thing you have attached to that. You're going to think it's so ridiculous that obviously you're going to start laughing, which in turn is changing your state from being so angry to all of a sudden like, okay, this is kind of ridiculous, right? That makes sense.
I like the word relax and you're annoyed.
Yeah, so like changing that up, right? Or you can also add what we call a softener into that, right? Like, God, I'm so mad, right? Like, well, maybe if you just said, well, I'm a little bit mad, right? I'm a little bit upset, right? Like just adding a little bit in that, yet again, changes the experience you're having to that. Because language, that's the way we describe things. That's how we elicit. That's the way we tell our significant other. We tell our kids. We do language. It just describes our experience of what we're having that moment in time. So by adding, whether it be a different word that's similar to that, and what we're going to do, guys, I'm going to put a PDF and kind of spreadsheet together for you guys, and I'm going to put it on here. If you want it, you can. I'll try to figure it out on here. I'm not the most Facebook savvy person, but I'd say DM us specifically. I'll make sure I'll get that to you guys. But it will go through kind of what's the language you typically use. What are some other additional words that you can attach to that? And at the same time, I know for myself, like for me, I love trying to learn new words to implement into my vocabulary, so that yet again could allow me to experience a more broader range of what human emotions we're supposed to be able to experience as anytime.
And on the other side of that, you can literally make up words. Like if anybody has read Everything's Figureoutable with Marie Forleo, she actually talks about this. She's like, I literally make up words that are so ridiculous that I can't feel that emotion, right? And so it's like, it's just funny when you're like, I'm so blubber whatever, like I don't have a word, but when you make up words, you're like, okay, I can't feel into that emotion, because yet again, all the emotions we have of the language we learned, right? We learned when I have this emotion, somebody told me it was anger, somebody told me it was aggression, somebody told me it was constricted. So like someone told you that, right? And so you have created that. Like when someone told you, oh, that's happy, right? You're like, you smile and they say, oh, you're happy. And you're like, oh, that's that experience, right? The words don't actually mean anything. It's the feeling that goes with it. So if you can start to, Carson wants to talk. So if you can start to shift the words and make them so that they don't escalate that emotion, instead they're going to shift it into a different way that you want to go, you'll start to see it really does make sense. And I mean, it really, when you can like, and we were arguing today about something. We were trying to set up a video and I was like, this is ridiculous. And like, it was funny because we were saying these things to each other. And at one point we just stopped and laughed because I was like, this is actually a really silly argument. Like we don't fight a lot, but it was kind of funny to the point where it was like, okay, we could have decided that I was going to be right or he was going to be right, or, you know, and the whole thing was actually ridiculous of like, where do we actually set the chair to do this video? But when you start to realize that like you can laugh in all these scenarios everything gets a little bit easier. And as you laugh, your state raises, your vocabulary starts to change, and it spirals upward instead of spiraling downward.
Well, and with that, you guys, because really what we're talking is yet again, language elicits emotion. And really an emotion, all it is your body's interpretation of a feeling, which it is a sensation that comes through. And then when it reaches your head and that communicates, that's what we label as an emotion, right? Like all it is a label of whatever sensation I'm feeling. And so if I can become aware of the language I'm using, that's also going to allow me to be aware of the emotional labels that I'm putting on things. And so yet again, I can determine like, well, am I really upset or am I just annoyed, right? Like, am I just want to run through a wall right now, or I just want to like hang out and just kind of laugh for the scenario, right? Like that right there. Because yet again, if we can control our state and change our state, we can elicit a lot more probably productive behavior and a lot more empowering senses around us. And especially in this moment in time, right? Like for a lot of us, we feel like we don't have any say. We don't feel like we have any control. We don't feel like we really have any input what's going on to the scenario. But instead, what is the language that you're using? Because I would imagine your language is also dictating the emotional feelings that you're feeling from moment to moment.
Yeah. And just understanding that like you can take a breath and you can shift, right? You can take a breath, you can shift that language, you can shift that feeling, right? Everything, like we talk about congruency and everything being connected, right? None of this stuff happens outside of itself, right? Like you don't have a feeling without having a thought and a story and a belief and all this other stuff, right? Like they're all connected. And so when you can pay attention to even just language, it will start to affect all of the other things that are either working for you right now or working against you right now. And if you feel like you are in a place where your language is working against you, then you just need to stop and look at it. Our children really want to be in here. Stop and look at it and go, okay, what would be a different word, and how can I shift that? Of course, what you doing?
Sorry. So with that, you guys, like I said, I'm going to attach a PDF, but I'd say on that, you guys, if you want to get the PDF from me on there, is super easy worksheet, kind of guides you through, just kind of brings awareness of some the language that you tend to use. And then in addition to that, perhaps some other options that might elicit a better response of what you would like to experience. Just because yet again, the more we bring about this, and yet again, the more awareness you can bring about that for yourself, and the more you can kind of change yourself. I know for me, once I became more aware of the language I was using, it became way more aware of what everyone else around me was saying, right? Like it was a bullhorn of like, hold on, you saying this is actually allowing you to experience this, right? Like you saying this is actually experiencing this. And this is probably one of the things that may be holding you back from getting on the other side, because also when we use language, we tend to attach ourselves to the things that we say. And if I'm trying to aspire to something other than the language that I'm using, if I attach myself to it, as human beings, it's very, very difficult to let go of the things that we believe is true to ourselves. And so if we can become aware, then we can transform, then we can not only allow us to have different experiences, but it also can allow us to get over the hump of the things that we may be holding us back from.
So awesome, you guys. So if you have children like ours that really, really, really miss their friends and want some kind of connection, we're starting a kids program next week. So if you guys want to, if you have kids and you want to join us, we're going to do live workouts. We're going to let the kids talk and play and get them moving so they're not cooped up in the house all day. I mean, ours have been outside a lot, but just to get them some community and camaraderie and some exercise. So it's going to be Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We're going to start next Monday. So kids 4 to 18, it's $30. So we really just want to get the kids some connection. I talked about this yesterday in a post I did, or today that I did. You know, we understand what's going on. It's still hard and they don't totally get it. And we're starting to see that, like, yep. I just like they're doing things for attention and they're like, they want that connection. So if you have kids that, you know, miss their friends, they want to get on, they want to hang out, they want to talk, and you want them to get some exercise so they'll actually sleep, we'll put the link, or you can scroll down my page, it's there. But we'd love to have you guys. If you have questions, we would love that as well. So thanks for jumping on. Tula, if you're still on, I'm glad that your pup is doing so well. She had her dog break out of its kennel yesterday and lost a tooth. So yeah, so not good. But anyway, love you guys. Thanks for jumping on, and we'll talk to you guys tomorrow.
Appreciate y'all.
Bye, you guys.